Rice from cleverlysimple.com, and today we're going to be making flaky, buttery, easy to make biscuits. Welcome to my farmhouse. You are not going to believe how easy these biscuits are to make. I make them all the time for my family, and I did not grow up making biscuits, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to need is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. All the ingredients in this biscuit recipe are what you have on hand. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure I measure my 2 cups of flour correctly. Flour needs to be aerated, which means you don't want to pack it into your measuring cup. You want to scoop it out and kind of gently put it into your measuring cup, and then I just scrape off the top. All right, to these 2 cups of flour, I'm going to add a tablespoon of baking powder. Now you want baking powder. This is a really popular recipe on Cleverly Simple, and I've had people comment, or one person comment, that they tasted terrible because of too much baking soda. You need baking powder, not baking soda. Baking soda would taste terrible. I'm also gonna add a teaspoon of salt, and then a tablespoon of sugar. And that's it for our dry ingredients. Like I said, super easy, straightforward ingredients that you probably already have on hand. I'm gonna use my pastry cutter and I'm just gonna blend that together. No need to dirty another dish. Now the secret to flaky, delicious biscuits is cold butter. The colder the butter, which I just use straight from my refrigerator, it's going to melt in the oven, and that's what's gonna create those pockets of air. So I'm gonna grab my butter out of the refrigerator. I'm gonna need 1/3 of a cup of cold butter. And I like to cut it up before I start using my pastry blender. Now, if you do not have a pastry blender, you can use a cheese grater and just grate your cold butter into the flour. You can also use 2 knives. 2 knives will work just as well, just will take a little longer. So you don't have to have a pastry blender, but they're really inexpensive to buy and they're great to have. I like to use them because not only does it help me get those really small pea-sized bits of butter that I want for these biscuits, but also because I want to incorporate the flour into the butter, and I think it does a really good job of that. So I'm going to quickly get this all blended together, and then we'll be ready for our last ingredient. Okay, I've got this fully blended to where the butter is no larger than like a small petite pea. You can see it's fully incorporated. Now the next step is to remember we're keeping everything cold. I'm gonna add 3/4 cup of cold milk, not buttermilk, you guys. So easy, this recipe. 3/4 cup of cold milk from my refrigerator. A lot of recipes call for buttermilk, and I know that's delicious, but let's be honest, who has time for that? I'm never thinking ahead to making it, and so having this milk just makes it super easy. All right, we're just gonna add it straight into the dough, just 3/4 cup, and I'm gonna grab a fork, and we're just gonna mix it all together till it forms a dough. Now you may find on really humid days that your dough is a little stickier, and in the winter when it's drier, your dough is a little drier. Just add a little more milk. If it's too dry, add a little bit more, add a little less milk if it's too wet. But usually I just add the 3/4 and go from there. All right, so my dough's just a little sticky. So what we're gonna be doing is turning this onto a floured surface, and I just use my countertop. And we're gonna knead it. Now, don't let that intimidate you. Kneading is folding and smushing the dough. There is nothing to kneading this dough. We're just gonna do it 10 times just to well incorporate it and to get it less sticky. What I typically do is I just put a lot of flour on my hands. Got a lot of flour here, spread that out. And then I just fold it and smush, fold it and smush. This is all you need to do to make biscuits. Your kids can do this. You're gonna feel like a master doing this. What I love about this recipe is how easy it is to pull together. I did not grow up making biscuits. My mom is an amazing baker, but biscuits were something that she didn't make growing up. And so it was my goal one year, my husband's from the South, to learn how to make biscuits, but they can be intimidating. And this recipe is not. All right, so I am ready to add these to my baking pan. I like to use a dark pan to bake them, but if you only have a light, that will be fine. And you need a biscuit cutter. If you don't have a biscuit cutter, you can use the top of a wine glass, a mason jar, a regular glass. You don't have to use a biscuit cutter. In fact, this is actually what's called a salad cutter. They're made in the USA. This is an antique that I bought from an Amish auction, and I just love it. You can purchase them online. I'll leave a link below, but really super easy. All right, so this biscuit is gonna be about this thick, and you are gonna get about 6 biscuits from this recipe. Sometimes I get 5 if I get a little overzealous and make them a little too thick, but typically you're gonna get 6 biscuits. The first 4 should come out really easily, and then the next ones you're just going to refold the dough. And then the last one I kind of fold it, and then I just kind of place it within my biscuit, just smash it in there. Nothing fancy to this recipe. All right. Now that I've got these on my pan, I'm going to stick them in the refrigerator because my oven is not done preheating. If your oven is already at 425 degrees, you can stick these right in. But if it's not, you want to be like me, stick them in the refrigerator to keep that butter cold. All right, the biscuits just came out of the oven in 13 minutes. They're absolutely perfectly golden brown. What you're looking for is a really light golden brown color, not a super dark color or you'll overbake them. They'll still be good, but you want that really light golden color. Here's a final tip. When you're making these biscuits, you can put them in the freezer when they're shaped into biscuits in their dough form. Once they're frozen, pop them off the pan, put them in a Ziploc bag, and when you're ready for warm, delicious biscuits on a busy morning, you can put them in the oven as you normally would and just bake them for a little longer at 425 degrees. This is perfect for when you're traveling and you want to take breakfast with you and have it homemade, or a busy weekday. You can just have them ready in the freezer. I hope you guys enjoyed this flaky, delicious, buttery biscuit. I think I've said that enough times, as much as our family has. Thank you for visiting the farmhouse. Until next time.